we want to talk about slope-intercept equation. Now this is just a name. So seeing this thing, this is a whiteboard marker. You know this thing by image. So talking about a slope-intercept equation, this is what we are talking about. Y is equal to ms plus or plus b or plus c. Is that okay? So this is how the slope-intercept equation looks like. Now, knowing this thing, you have to understand that where are these variables coming from? Where are these letters coming from? Right? So that is one key word you must understand in what solving questions that goes like this. So this is what we call the gradient, and then this is the what the y-intercept. So away from what? So let me write this thing to be the gradient here. Away from the technical definitions here is that I call these two people, maybe let's say this is my partner here. So maybe you watch me right now, your partner, and then you are here, right? So this is you. So okay, so the key here is that I call this M and the B to be the family members. So once I know these family members, I can easily determine the two of you. That is the secret here. So having something that goes like this, if I let the partners be on this side, so for me to determine who your partner is, right? So that is something very simple to analyze here. So let's say you are here, so let's say you are 2. So with this equation here, with by knowing this M and the B here, those are the family members. So once I know the family members, I can easily determine the you, and then this is your partner, right? So I can easily see that. So that is an assumption. If you're already on this channel, you know how this thing works perfectly. But if you are new here, make sure that you subscribe to the channel for more content. So by the slope-intercept equation here, this is what we mean, right? So y is equal to mx plus b. There are so many questions that are relating to the slope-intercept equation. That's one thing you must know. So based on information being given to you, that is where you are going to convert or write the equations of the line based on the information. So first of all, let's have a look at the first questions here. So now that we know that this is what we call the slope-intercept equation, so we want to find the equation. So the question says that you should find the equation, right? So this is my short of what the equation that passes through the point. We have -2, 7, and then as well as what we also have 2, -3, right? So these are the 2 points that we are giving. So these are all the informations that we have, right? If you want us to send you the full lesson here, make sure that you stay here or comment below, right? So by the way, this is what find the equations of the line that passes through these 2 points. Okay, so the equation here we mean by what? The slope-intercept equation. So the only thing that you need here, you need to find this guy here first. As I said earlier, these are the 2 family members. So once we have the 2 family members, we can easily write the equations of the line. So this is what we call the gradient from the first part here. The question is, how do you write the gradient, or how do you find the gradient of a line? That's going to be the y2. This is the definition if you are not giving, and then over s2 minus x1. Right, so don't worry about this thing much here. So what that means is that we have the 2 points here. So the way it stands, this is going to be our first y1, s1, and then what y1. So the first one goes for the s1 and y, and this goes for this should be the first one is always the x, and the s2 and the y2. Is that okay? So that's very easy. So pick these 2 people and plug them inside the gradient definition. So we are going to have our y2, that's going to be -3, and then the y1, right? So y1 is that is 7, so -7, right? So -7, everything on x2. Which one is the s2? S2 is going to be 2, and then minus, right? There's a minus here. Be very careful with your negative when you are dealing with your negative. Minus the s1, that is -2, right? So be very attention to that part. So minus or -2. Don't let the negative here confuse you. That's one thing you have to pay a very close attention to. So here we should have -10 on. This one tends to be a positive. That should be on 5, right? So here that value that should be on -2. So we have our m to be equal to -2. So I think there's a quick mistake here that you have to pay a very close attention. So the x1 here is on -2, but not -2, right? So pay a very close attention to that. So those are some of the mistakes that you must avoid when you are dealing with something like this, right? So make sure that you pay very close attention to the numbers that you are dealing with. So the top will be -10, and the down here should be what? +4. right? So reducing that, you should have a -5 on what? On 2. Right, so this should be the correct one. If you've seen that mistake earlier on, make sure that you comment in the comment section below, right? So that you know that you are following. So now we have the gradient to be on -5 on 2. That is what we have to be on the gradient. What again are we looking for? So as I said, there are just two people that you must find in order for you to write the intercept slope equation. So this guy as well as this guy. So you already have the m, which is the gradient. So how do you determine the b? So for you to find a b here, you are going to pick any of the 2 points given to you. So you have this point and this, any of them. So you may go for this or you may go for that. The choice is yours. You are going to arrive at the same answer. So me, I like working with the simple one. So I have 2, -3. So someone will go for this thing, you still arrive at the same answer. Is that okay? Perfect. So here, going for this one here, it means that this is going to be my x and then this is going to be my y. So wherever I see the y, I'm going to put the y there, and then wherever I see the x, I'm going to put the 2 also there. So we already have this m here. So y here is going to be -3. So we are looking for the b, right? So that's going to be, the gradient is on -5 on what? On 2. The x here is going to be 2. Right, don't pick the y here and come and pick the x here, and then the vice versa. So if you are going for 1 point, make sure that you go for this point. If you are going for this, make sure that you also go for this. At the end, you still arrive at the same answer. So plus b. This is very easy for you to do the calculation. So this one cancel out. So you have -3, that is equal to be -5 and then plus b, right? So we are looking for the b. So adding 5 from both sides of the equation, so you have -3 plus 5 here tends to be 0, right? That's going to be equal to b. So here we have b to be equal to 2. Is that okay? So once you have the b, so this is our b, and then the m to be -5 on 2, we can easily write the equations of the slope intercept equations of the line. So now that is going to be the slope intercept, that is y equal to the gradient, that is your -5 on 2, right? And the x, we are maintaining these two people. Is that okay? Because the point may change in the future. So this is how you write the equation. The only thing that you need to find is just these two people. So what is the b? B is what? +2, so plus 2. So this one is going to be what? Our slope intercept equation. Is that okay? So based on the information that you are having, that's what you are going to use. Sometimes you may not be given a gradient, or sometimes you may be given a gradient. Depends. That's why you need to subscribe to the channel so that we can update you on more questions like this. This is the next question that says that the line x plus y plus 4 equal to 0 makes an angle theta with a positive direction of the x-axis. Find the values of the theta. So this question relates to the slope intercept equation. That is why you have to have the background on that before you can solve this type of problem. Now what it means here is that we want to determine theta based on information. Always focus on information given to you. So if you have a plane like this, so if you want to move away from this thing, that's why you need to join us on this channel for content like the angle is making a, that is all the positive direction of the x-axis. So the positive directions of the x-axis. So here is okay. So the angle makes always with this angle, right? So this is the positive side of the x-axis. This is where my partners are, right? So this is where the theta, let's say this is where the theta belongs. That is what we want to find, but this is the only thing that we are giving here. So one thing you must know here is that if you are not given the gradient, we know the definitions of the y-intercept equation. So this is what we call the y-intercept equation. And then this guy is what our gradient. Always the number attached to the x is always the gradient if you write a question or the equation like this. So y equal to something. So always the number that is attached to the x here is what we call the gradient, right? So now here we are not given a gradient, so we have to find out the gradient from this equation. So your first step is to make sure that you rewrite this equation to suit the the slope interceptor equation, right? So here we are having the x plus y plus 4, everything equal to 0. That's what we are given. So we want to make sure that it looks like this, so meaning that we are going to have only y here. So y is going to be moving the x first. The x tends to be what? x here. Once you cross the equal to sign, and then this guy also goes, so that should be a -4. So as I said earlier on, this one looks like what the slope intercept equation. Is that okay? So that is perfect. So now we can easily declare that the guy attached to the x here is going to be our gradient. So what is the guy? That should be a -1, right? So negative x here, so -1. So this is our gradient. So once you have the gradient here, so one thing you must know in terms of the angle is that if you are not given a gradient, the definitions that or the tools that you are going to use here is the tangent, so that's the tan theta is going to be equal to the gradient. So we know that the m here is the gradient, right? So once you have the tan theta equal to the gradient, so meaning that tan of the theta here, tan of the angle, the gradient here, we found that to be a -1, so -1. Is that okay? So now how do you get the tan here? That's where you are going to take off the tan inverse of -1, right? So the tan inverse. So this is similar to, if you are not okay with the trigonometry, so if you have something like 2s that is equal to 1, for you to have the values of the x here, you are going to divide all the side by 2. So this one cancel out. So that is the idea here. So we are looking for the theta here, so you have to take the tan inverse of whatever is attached to the theta, and then for you to have this. So the answer to this all should be 135 degrees. So this is going to be our theta here. This guy asked the question requires to find. So there are more to come. So that is why if you want us to do more of these lessons here, we already have a short videos on that. So try and check the playlist down below if you want to understand more. If you have any specific question for us to solve under what slope intercept or equations, make sure that you just comment below. If you gain some value from this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up.